the girlfriend's house that night, and I was watching the football match on TV and having a wee bit of a cup of tea. We come out of the house and I was going up round home, and the corner of St James's and St James's Crescent, I heard Daniel Rooney shouting at me. He was coming down St James's Road. We stood at the corner talking, and there was a do going on in the wee green hut, and we seen a few lads, and they drifted on too. So me and Daniel were standing there at McCullen's corner, and as that two cars come down St James's Road with their headlights on, and we seen them and let them go on by, thinking nothing of it. But about 10 minutes later, the same two cars, what looked to be the same two cars, come up St James's Road with their lights on. Me and Daniel thought this was kind of funny, so we decided to stand in out of the road, we'd take no chances. So we stood under McCullen's hedge and let the two cars go on past us. And as we walked out again from the hedge, a car come down St James's Crescent towards us, come right over the curb and opened up with guns. It looked like a machine gun to me. Yeah. Well, we were lying on the ground, and we were shouting for help. I remember shouting over someone for Daniel, and he mumbled something back to me. Well, within a matter of seconds, people were coming from everywhere, and they were standing all around us, and we weren't getting much air. By this time, a few of the lads stopped the passing car and were taking Daniel to the hospital. And with the crowd around me, Mrs. McVeigh got down over me and started to tell me the act of contrition. Well, I'm lying there thinking that it's only a sore leg, shot in the foot, and I'm saying to myself and shouting to the crowd, "Not dying, leave me alone, not dying, no need for that." But the ambulance seemed to come round in the district as if they knew something was going to happen. And my sister and Michael Hillman got into the ambulance with me, and when they took me away, they brought me down to the Royal Victoria, into the outpatients. When we were lying there, the doctors and nurses were all around, and I can remember the priest coming to me and asking me my name and asking me who the fella was that was shot with me, and I told him. Well, the nurses started to cut off my clothes and get me ready for surgery, and they took me along to the corridor and under the lift shaft, and where there was two soldiers standing waiting on us. And when I seen the soldiers, I wasn't worried at this particular time, but they brought me up into surgery, where they followed me up into the operating rooms, and where they sedated me and put me over. The soldiers, I can remember them still standing there. Well, when I wakened up in the recovery ward, there was two men standing beside me in plain clothes, taking swabs of my hands. And when I asked them who they were, they told me they were police forensics, and that's all they said. Well, that really made me start to worry and want to know what they thought we had done, and what they expected me to do when it was us were shot for just standing at the corner of the street. So I was still drowsy after coming out of the operation, and I was brought down. I fell asleep and I was brought down into the main wards down in the hospital of Royal Victoria. I think it was Ward 18. Up in the ward, one of the first faces I seen was Mickey Hillman's father, who wasn't too well at the time, and for a lot of the first couple of days he was looking after me and giving me books and magazines to read and orange juice and things like this. And at the bottom of the ward, at the main entrance, there was two soldiers always sitting, and when I asked Mr. Hillman what were they doing there, he told me they were there to watch me, that didn't get up and leave the place. So he noticed after a while, because he was talking to me, when he went out maybe to get his papers in the morning or at night, that the soldiers would follow him. Well, Mr. Hillman couldn't walk 10 yards without getting oxygen and for to help him breathe. So he used to have to carry a container around with him. So as he noticed the soldiers following him, he would walk around the hospital maybe for half an hour the corridors were narrow with his oxygen, breathing away at it and having the soldiers standing behind him to follow him around the place. Well, my parents and girlfriend kept coming down to see me, but nobody had told me about the soldiers or about what had really happened. My mum brought in one day when I was lying there, I think it was the third day in the hospital, and he was only in. And he says to me, "Do you want to have a look at the Irish News?" So I took it and opened up the front page, and there it was said, Youth's funeral today, and I decided to read into it, and I realised it was Daniel Rooney had died. And nobody had told me that Daniel had died during that shooting, and it nearly knocked the stuff out of me, nearly killed me. And I was raging that nobody would even come and tell me, because I would have even liked to try to get to the funeral. So I was lying there very upset with myself and with everybody when the policeman, Chief Inspector Dawson, came down to see me and told me that he wanted a statement from me and there might be charges brought against me according to the shooting. And I remember saying to him, "Sure, it wasn't me that was doing the shooting, or Daniel, it was whoever it was," and that's when he told me it was the army that had done the shooting, not us. And I remember thinking it was very unfair at it. In the hospital, the soldiers in particular tortured me over religion and politics, and saying that I'd never walk out of the hospital and that they'd get me anyway, they'd finish me off. And one particular nurse and soldier, one nurse would always jibe me about being a gunman and my politics and my religion. Another soldier kept saying to me he was a sergeant, that he'd get me up into Musgrave Park Hospital, and that would be the end of me. Nobody had ever seen me again. So when my family and parents got to hear about this, they come down to the hospital, and I was lying in bed, and the next thing I know, the screens were put round, and one shoe was brought out in my trousers and clothes, and I was put on the clothes, and they started to carry me down the ward. But as I was going down, the soldiers at the end of the ward tried to stop me. But because there's so much of a commotion, and the doctors and nurses arguing, and soldiers, they were able to push me past till outside the hospital, where there was a car waiting that brought me straight up to my own house in St James's to get a doctor. There was a doctor called for that day, where he subscribed drugs and painkillers for the pain in my leg. And we had to put up boards on our windows and board up the doors of the house, because the bits they broke into the backyard one night and wrote up, "We'll get you, wouldn't like it be, and we'll finish you off," on the confetti and the toilet walls and stuff like that. And they broke the glass, the front door. I stayed in the house for about 3 months because I was afraid to go out with the harassment I got in the hospital and from the way they were treating me while I was in the house. But one particular day, the sister said she was going down the road to do some shopping. Would I like to come? And I said no, but they all coaxed me to go on out, so I decided to dander down the road with her. Well, we got to about Hardens in the Falls Road when 2 Saracens passed us and just stopped about 10 yards down the road from us and reversed back up. And the next thing was there's 6 soldiers grabbing hold of my hair and putting my arms up my back and running me trailing me over to the Saracen and throwing me in the back face down, and one of them was holding my hair. Well, my head was facing towards the doors of the Saracen, where I could see my sister stand shouting to saying that she wanted to come with me. And 2 old women fighting and beating the soldiers with their umbrellas and saying, "Leave that child alone," and things like that there, and a lot worse. So eventually they took my sister with me and brought me down to Springfield Road Police Station, where I was made to stand in the yard with my nose against the pebbled house wall, not allowed to move. And this went on for about 2.5 hours. And one particular soldier walked up to my back and said, "This is it now, son," and clicked the gun behind my head. And I really did think I was a goner then. Well, about 20 minutes after that, along came at the corner of my eye, I seen Inspector Dawson, who came along and says I could stand easy or stand naturally, squat if I wanted. He says he could do what I want. He said he'd have me out within the next half an hour out of the station. Well, he came along again after about 15 minutes and took me by the arm and helped me to the front lobby where my sister was waiting for me. And outside the actual barracks there was a car waiting to take me back up home. And that's my last experience. It was never, since the policeman said, I was never harassed by them again. Well, at the inquest of Daniel, things didn't go as well as what we would expect it to go for our side, because we were trying to get our clothes off the army and the police to try and prove that we hadn't guns on us by our own people. To get our own people to have a look at the clothes, our own specialists. And the inquest was a sort of a whitewash. There wasn't much said by our own solicitors or their solicitors. It was always technical faults or something technical in it. And we never got our clothes. And the inquest on Daniel was death by misadventure. A week after the inquest, we went to Springfield Road Police Station, where we were told to go for our clothes, and they told us that the clothes were officially burnt the week before the inquest. So we never got anything out of it. So when I was shot, I was hit in the back of my spine, and it came out the side of my leg. And my legs were paralysed completely for nearly 6 months. And when the doctor told me that I would never walk again with my legs in the hospital, I couldn't believe that. And one leg, my bad leg, the leg I was shot, and actually wasted away the 9 inches, just the size of the bone in the leg.